The ballroom went silent. Aria's hands trembled at the microphone as 500 millionaires stared at her. Her billionaire husband stood frozen in shock, and she was about to confess the one secret that could destroy everything. When I was 13 years old, I stole from my own sister to save my brother's life. Gasps erupted. Camera flashes exploded. His mother's smile turned triumphant. But this wasn't the beginning. 3 days ago, Aria had nothing. She scrubbed floors. She was invisible. Then her ex-husband publicly humiliated her at a gala, and a billionaire she'd never met dropped to his knees in front of everyone and called her his wife. This is the story of how a cleaning woman became a queen, how a secret from the past came back for revenge, and how one night at a diamond gala changed everything. Stay with me, because this girl from the projects is about to teach the rich and powerful what real strength looks like. But before we dive in, I need you to do 3 things. First, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. Second, if this story touches your heart at any point, show some love with a like. It helps more people find these powerful messages. And third, drop a comment telling me what you think as we go. I read every single one. The Diamond Gala wasn't just an event. It was a statement. A declaration that separated those who mattered from those who didn't. Aria Munro stood outside the towering glass doors, her reflection staring back at her like a ghost. 28 years old, brown skin glowing under the harsh streetlights. Wearing a dress she'd bought from a thrift store 5 years ago. Her hands trembled as she clutched a worn envelope containing medical bills that might as well have been a death sentence. Inside, champagne glasses clinked. Laughter echoed through marble halls. People who had never missed a meal in their lives celebrated nothing in particular. She took a breath that hurt her chest. Her little brother Jaden was lying in a hospital bed 12 blocks away, 15 years old. Kidney failure. The surgery would cost $200,000. Money that was sitting in an account, with both her name and Xavier's on it. Money she had earned scrubbing floors at 3 different office buildings, while Xavier slept through his first year of medical school. The security guard at the door looked her up and down with barely concealed disgust. Invitation. His voice was flat. I'm here to see Xavier Thorne. Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Decker. Thorne doesn't take meetings with. He paused, his eyes dragging across her cheap dress, her scuffed shoes. Walk-ins. I'm his wife. The words tasted like ash. Ex-wife. The guard smirked. Sure you are. And I'm the King of England. Move along before I call the real police. Aria's fingers tightened around the envelope. She could feel tears building behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of this man who looked at her like she was dirt on his shoe. Please. The word cracked in her throat. My brother is dying. I just need 5 minutes. Something in her voice must have registered, because the guard's expression shifted slightly. Not to kindness, just to boredom. Wait here. He disappeared inside. Aria stood in the cold night air, watching through the glass as beautiful people in beautiful clothes lived beautiful lives. She saw him before the guard came back. Xavier Thorne, 6'2", perfect jawline, skin like marble, hair styled with products that cost more than her monthly rent. He was wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than Jaden's medication for an entire year. And on his arm, draped like an expensive accessory, was Tiffany Vaughn. Blonde, pale, thin in that way that required personal trainers and nutritionists. Her dress was the color of champagne and probably cost as much as a car. Arya watched as Xavier threw his head back and laughed at something one of his colleagues said. The same laugh she used to love. The same laugh she'd heard on their wedding day when they had nothing but love and dreams. That was 4 years ago, before she worked herself to exhaustion paying for his education, before he graduated top of his class and suddenly decided she wasn't refined enough for his new world, before he served her divorce papers on her birthday and told her she should be grateful he was setting her free. The guard returned. Dr. Thorne says he doesn't know you. You need to leave. That's a lie. Arya's voice rose. Tell him Arya is here. Tell him his wife. Ex-wife, apparently. The guard grabbed her arm. Time to go. Get your hands off me. She jerked away, and in that moment, she made a decision that would change everything. She pushed past the guard. The marble floors were slippery under her worn shoes as she ran into the ballroom. Heads turned. Conversations stopped. The orchestra stuttered to a halt. Xavier saw her coming. His face went through several expressions in quick succession. Surprise. Recognition. Then something cold and hard that made her stomach drop. Xavier. She stopped 3 feet from him, breathing hard. I need you to sign the release for our savings account. Jaden needs surgery. He's going to die if... Security. Xavier's voice cut through the air like a whip. Arya froze. Tiffany's perfectly painted lips curved into a smile. Xavier, darling, who is this person? Nobody. Xavier didn't even look at Arya when he said it. Just someone who doesn't understand that begging is better done in alleys, not at charity galas. Laughter rippled through the crowd, soft at first, then growing louder. Someone whispered something about the help getting confused. Arya felt her face burn. Xavier, please. I'm not here to embarrass you. I just need what you need. Xavier interrupted, finally turning to face her. Is to understand your place. You were useful once. You worked hard, I'll give you that. All those night shifts, scrubbing toilets so I could study, very noble. Very, humble. His friends chuckled. But I don't need you anymore, Arya. I'm a surgeon now. I'm somebody. And you. He gestured at her dress, her shoes, her entire existence. You're still nobody. You're still that girl from the projects who thought she could climb up by holding on to me. I never asked you for anything except what I earned. Arya's voice shook, but she held her ground. That money in the account is mine. I worked for it. And I used it to become successful. Xavier smiled, and it was the cruelest thing she'd ever seen. Consider it an investment in greatness. You should be proud. Your sacrifice meant something. Tiffany giggled. Xavier, honey, why are you even entertaining this? Security really should handle the help. You're right, sweetheart. Xavier turned back to his friends. Gentlemen. Ladies, my apologies for the interruption. Some people just can't accept that they're not welcome in certain spaces. He placed his hand on Arya's shoulder. Not gently, not like he used to. He shoved her. Hard. Arya stumbled backward, her worn shoes sliding on the marble. She went down, hands slapping against the cold floor. Envelope scattering its contents of the pristine white surface. medical bills, photos of Jaden, a handwritten note from a doctor explaining that time was running out. The crowd gasped, but not in horror, in fascination, like watching a car crash. Arya looked up from the floor, tears finally spilling down her cheeks, and saw Xavier standing over her. "That's where you belong," he said softly, just loud enough for her to hear. "On your knees. In the dirt, where people like you have always been." The room blurred. Arya's chest felt like it was caving in. She reached for the scattered papers, hands shaking so badly she could barely grip them. Then the doors exploded open. Not literally, but it felt that way. Every head turned. The entire ballroom seemed to hold its breath. A man walked in. He was tall, over 6 feet, dark hair perfectly styled, beard trimmed with precision, wearing a suit that looked like it cost more than most people's cars. But it wasn't the expensive clothes that made everyone freeze. It was the presence, the way he moved, the way the air seemed to shift around him, the way grown men who controlled millions of dollars suddenly looked like children caught doing something wrong. Arya didn't recognize him at first. She was still on the floor, still gathering her scattered dignity along with her scattered papers. But Xavier recognized him immediately. "Mr. Sterling." Xavier's voice lost all its arrogance. "Sir, what an unexpected honor. I didn't know you were attending." Silas Sterling didn't acknowledge him, didn't even glance in his direction. He walked straight toward Arya. The crowd parted like water. And then, in front of 300 of the wealthiest people in the city, Silas Sterling dropped to his knees beside a woman in a thrift store dress. "Arya." His voice was soft, gentle, filled with something that sounded like pain. "I told you to wait for me in the car." Arya looked up at him, confusion mixing with shock. I don't." Silas reached out and gently wiped a tear from her cheek. His hand was warm, steady. "You came in alone, didn't you?" He smiled, but there was sadness in it. "You tried to handle this yourself." "I'm sorry," Arya whispered, not sure why she was apologizing to this stranger. "I don't understand what's happening." Silas helped her stand, his movements careful, as if she were made of glass. He picked up each scattered paper, gathering them with more care than anyone had shown her in years. Then he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. It was still warm from his body. It smelled expensive, cedar and something else, something safe. Xavier stepped forward, confusion written across his perfect features. "Sir, I apologize for this disruption. This woman is my wife." Silas turned to face Xavier, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "This woman is my wife." The silence that followed was absolute. Tiffany's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor. Xavier's face went from tan to pale in seconds. That's impossible. She's Arya Munro." Silas spoke each word clearly. "Now, Arya Sterling. We were married 6 months ago in a private ceremony. And before you say another word, Dr. Thorne, I suggest you remember who signs your paychecks." Understanding dawned on Xavier's face like a nightmare coming to life. Silas Sterling owned Sterling Global, the parent company of Sterling Medical Center, the hospital where Xavier worked, the hospital that had just promoted him to head of cardiothoracic surgery. Arya stood frozen, Silas's jacket warm on her shoulders, trying to process what was happening. Married. She'd never seen this man before in her life. had she? Silas turned back to her, his expression softening completely. "I'm sorry I was late, my love. The meeting ran over. You shouldn't have had to face him alone." His eyes held hers, and in them, Arya saw something she couldn't quite name. A plea, a promise, a silent request to trust him. She didn't understand what was happening, but she understood one thing clearly. This man, whoever he was, had just saved her from the worst moment of her life. And from the look on Xavier's face, the night was about to get much worse for someone. Just not for her. Arya's mind was spinning. The jacket on her shoulders felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Every eye in the ballroom was fixed on her, and she could barely breathe. Silas Sterling stood beside her like a wall between her and the world. His presence was so commanding that even the whispers had stopped. People were afraid to make a sound. Xavier looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Tiffany had gone completely pale, her hand clutching Xavier's arm, so tightly her knuckles were white. There must be some mistake. Xavier finally found his voice. It came out strangled. "Sir, with all due respect, this woman and I were married. She's from the projects. She cleaned offices for a living. There's no possible way she could be." "Careful." Silas's voice was quiet, but it carried a warning that made Xavier take a step back. "Very careful about how you finish that sentence." Arya felt Silas's hand gently touch her lower back. The gesture was protective, familiar in a way that confused her even more. "I don't understand." Arya's voice was barely a whisper. She looked up at Silas, searching his face for answers. "Why are you?" "Let's get you home first." Silas's expression softened when he looked at her. "We can talk there, away from these people." But Xavier wasn't done. Desperation was creeping into his voice now. "Mr. Sterling, I don't know what she told you, but Arya is a liar. She's manipulative. She probably saw you as her next meal ticket after I divorced her. She's using you." The change in Silas was instant. He turned to face Xavier fully, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop another 20 degrees. "You divorced her." Silas spoke slowly, each word precise. "You took the money she earned working 3 jobs to put you through medical school. Then you left her with nothing. Is that the story you're going with?" Xavier's face flushed red. "That's not. It's more complicated than." "Is it?" Silas took a step toward him. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty simple. You used her. You discarded her. And tonight, you humiliated her in front of all these people because you thought she had no one to protect her." The crowd was watching like this was theater. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked thrilled by the drama. Tiffany tried to pull Xavier back, but he jerked his arm away. His pride was wounded, and he was about to make it so much worse. "She was holding me back." Xavier's voice rose. "I needed to be with someone who fit my lifestyle, someone refined, someone who understood my world. Arya is. She's—" "Say it." Silas's voice was like ice. "Finish what you were going to say." Xavier's eyes darted around the room, realizing he'd backed himself into a corner. "She's not educated. She's rough around the edges. She doesn't belong in places like this. Anyone can see that. What I see," Silas said quietly, "is a woman who sacrificed everything for someone who wasn't worth a single second of her time." He turned back to Arya, his entire demeanor changing again. The coldness melted away. replaced by something gentle. Your brother's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Silas spoke directly to her, as if they were the only two people in the room. Dr. Chen is the best in the country. I've already transferred the funds. Jaden is going to be fine. Arya felt her knees go weak. How do you know about Jaden? How do you know his name? Silas smiled, and there was sadness in it. I know a lot about you, Arya. More than you realize. That's impossible. I've never met you before. But even as she said it, something tugged at the back of her mind. Something familiar about his eyes. Haven't you? Silas reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. He handed it to Arya. Her hands shook as she took it. The photo was old, the edges frayed. It showed a young man, maybe 19 or 20, thin and sick, lying in a hospital bed. And standing next to him, holding his hand, was a younger version of herself. Arya stared at the photo. The memory hit her like a physical blow. 7 years ago. She'd been working night shifts at County General, cleaning hospital rooms. She'd found a patient alone in the ICU. No family, no visitors. The nurses said he was a John Doe. Hit by a car, no insurance, no one to claim him. She'd sat with him during her breaks. Talked to him even though he was unconscious. Brought him flowers from the hospital gift shop with money she couldn't afford to spend. When the hospital said they were going to pull the plug because no one was paying for his care, she'd done something crazy. She'd lied. Said she was his sister. Signed papers she didn't understand. Set up a payment plan that would take her years to pay off. The man had woken up 3 weeks later with no memory of who he was or where he'd come from. By then, Arya had met Xavier and was working double shifts to support both the mystery patient's medical bills and her new boyfriend's education. She'd visited the man one last time, told him she couldn't come anymore, and wished him luck. That was you. Arya's voice cracked. You're the John Doe from County General. Silas nodded slowly. My name is Silas Sterling. 7 years ago, I was running away from my family's company. I wanted to prove I could make it on my own. I was working construction under a fake name when a drunk driver hit me. I should have died that night. He took a step closer to her. But a cleaning woman with the kindest eyes I'd ever seen sat with me, held my hand, told me stories about her little brother who wanted to be a scientist. She paid for my care when she could barely afford to eat. She saved my life. Arya felt tears streaming down her face. You remembered me. Every single day. Silas's voice was rough with emotion. When I woke up and you were gone, I spent months trying to find you. But you'd used a different last name on the hospital forms to protect yourself. By the time I tracked you down, you were married to him. He jerked his head toward Xavier without looking at him. I watched from a distance. Made sure you were okay. When he divorced you, I wanted to reach out, but I knew you needed time. Then, 6 months ago, you donated blood at a charity drive my company was hosting. You didn't know it was my company. But I knew it was you the moment I saw your name on the donor list. Arya's mind was reeling. The marriage certificate. You said we were married. Wah. Silas pulled a folded paper from his inside pocket. 3 months ago, you were at your lowest. You just found out about Jaden's diagnosis. You were sitting on a bench outside County General, crying. I sat down next to you. We talked for hours. You didn't recognize me because I look different now. Healthier, wealthier. I told you I was a businessman who'd also lost someone to medical debt. You told me everything. He unfolded the paper. It was indeed a marriage certificate. Legal. Official. You don't remember because you were exhausted. Grief-stricken. I offered you a solution. A marriage in name, only so you could access my insurance for Jaden's treatment. You thought I was just a kind stranger, trying to help. You signed the papers at 2 in the morning, in a lawyer's office. Then you went home and collapsed from exhaustion. Arya stared at the certificate. Her signature was there, shaky but real. I planned to tell you everything tonight. Silas's voice was gentle. Planned to reveal who I really was. But then I got caught in a meeting, and you came here alone to face him. He looked at Xavier with barely concealed rage. And he put his hands on you. Xavier had been listening to all of this with growing horror. Now he tried to salvage the situation. Mr. Sterling, clearly you've been deceived. Arya is a con artist. She saw an opportunity with you just like she did with me. This marriage is obviously a scam. Dr. Thorne. Silas's voice cut through the air like a blade. You're fired. The words hung in the air. Xavier's face went white. What? You can't. I can. I own Sterling Medical Center. I own the building you live in. I own the luxury car you drive. And as of 5 minutes ago, I've instructed my lawyers to purchase all of your outstanding debts. Your student loans, your credit cards, the mortgage on your parents' house that you co-signed. Xavier swayed on his feet. That's not legal. It's perfectly legal and effective immediately. Silas's smile was cold. You wanted to know your place, Dr. Thorne. Let me show you. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Marcus, it's done. Process the termination, security escort, and have his belongings removed from the penthouse by morning. Xavier lunged forward.
Wait! Please! I'll apologize.
I'll do anything. 2 security guards appeared as if from nowhere. Large men in black suits. They grabbed Xavier's arms.
Don't touch me.
Do you know who I am? Xavier struggled against them. You're nobody. Silas's words echoed Xavier's own from earlier. Just someone who doesn't understand that cruelty has consequences. Tiffany finally spoke up, her voice shrill. This is insane! Xavier is the best surgeon you have! You're ruining his life over some nobody! Silas turned his cold gaze to her. Van, I believe your father's company has several contracts with Sterling Global. I wonder how he'd feel knowing his daughter refers to my wife as some nobody. Tiffany's face went from pale to red. She stepped away from Xavier as if he were radioactive. The security guards began dragging Xavier toward the exit. He was screaming now, all pretense of dignity gone.
Arya! Arya, please! Tell him this is a mistake!
We loved each other once. Remember, please! Arya watched him go. The man who'd told her she belonged on her knees. The man who'd stolen her money and her dignity. She felt nothing. No satisfaction. No revenge. Just emptiness. Silas must have sensed it because he gently turned her away from the scene. Let's go home. His voice was soft again. You've been through enough. But Arya pulled back slightly. Why did you do all this? The marriage? The helping Jaden, standing up for me tonight. What do you want from me? Silas looked at her with eyes that held years of patient waiting. Nothing you're not ready to give. You saved my life when I was nobody. You expected nothing in return. You're the only person who ever looked at me and saw someone worth saving just because it was the right thing to do. I'm not trying to trap you, Arya. I'm trying to protect you. That's all I've ever wanted to do. But we're married. Arya's voice shook. Legally married to a man I don't even know. Then get to know me. Silas smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. We have time. No pressure. No expectations. Just two people who helped each other when it mattered most. Before Arya could respond, a new voice cut through the murmuring crowd. Well, well. Isn't this touching? Everyone turned. A woman stood at the entrance. She was probably in her late 50s, elegant in a sharp burgundy suit. Her silver hair was pulled back in a severe bun. Her eyes were ice blue and calculating. Silas's entire body went rigid. Mother. The woman walked into the ballroom like she owned it. Behind her were three men in expensive suits and one younger woman who looked enough like Silas to be his sister. Mother, Arya whispered. Silas's jaw tightened. Arya, meet Victoria Sterling, CEO of Sterling Industries, and the reason I ran away 7 years ago. Victoria's smile was thin and sharp as a knife. Silas, darling, imagine my surprise when my lawyers informed me you'd gotten married without telling the family. To a cleaning woman, no less. The way she said, cleaning woman, made it sound like a disease. This doesn't concern you. Silas stepped slightly in front of Arya. Oh, but it does. Victoria's eyes fixed on Arya like a hawk spotting prey. You see, dear, my son has a trust fund worth $3 billion. It becomes his when he turns 35. That's in 3 years. But there's a clause. If he marries without family approval, he loses everything. Arya felt the blood drain from her face. Arya pulled away from Silas so fast she nearly stumbled. His jacket slipped from her shoulders and fell to the marble floor. Tell me she's lying. Arya's voice was shaking. Tell me my brother's surgery isn't cancelled. Silas reached for his phone, his fingers moving fast. He dialed a number and pressed it to his ear. The silence while he waited felt like drowning. Daka Chen? It's Silas Sterling. I need you to confirm Jaden Monroe's surgery status for tomorrow morning. Arya watched his face, watched the way his jaw clenched, watched the muscle in his temple twitch. I see. And who authorized that cancellation? His voice went dangerously quiet. Victoria Sterling. Of course. No, don't apologize. This isn't your fault. He ended the call and looked at Arya with something that looked like physical pain. She wasn't bluffing. The ballroom was still full of people pretending not to watch while hanging on every word. Arya felt like she was going to be sick. So my brother dies because I married you. Her voice cracked. Because you didn't tell me about your family, about the money, about any of this? Nude. Silas's voice was firm. Jaden is not going to die. I'll find another hospital. I'll pay any amount. With what money? Arya's laugh was bitter. You heard your mother. If you stay married to me, you lose everything. And without your money, without your name, you're just another person making promises you can't keep. The words hit him like a slap. Arya saw it in his eyes. That's not fair. Silas's voice was low. I'm trying to help you. You're trying to save me like I'm some kind of project. Arya's emotions were boiling over now. All the fear, all the humiliation, all the confusion of the last hour. You watched me for years. You married me while I was too exhausted to think straight. You made decisions about my life without telling me the truth. How is that different from what Xavier did? Silas flinched like she'd struck him. It's completely different. I never used you. I never hurt you. You lied to me. Arya's voice rose. You let me sign a marriage certificate, thinking you were just some nice businessman, trying to help. You didn't tell me I was marrying into a family that would use my dying brother as leverage. You put a target on my back and called it protection. The crowd was fully watching now. Some had their phones out. By morning, this would be all over social media. Silas ran his hand through his hair, frustration and desperation mixing in his expression. You're right. I should have told you everything, but I was afraid. Afraid you'd refuse my help if you knew who I really was. Afraid you'd see me as just another rich man trying to buy his way into your life. And you think lying was better? Arya felt tears streaming down her face again, but this time they were angry tears. You think trapping me in a marriage I don't remember is better? I wasn't trapping you. Silas's voice broke. I was trying to give you options. Trying to make sure you and Jaden would be okay, no matter what happened. I never expected my mother to. But she did. Arya threw her hands up. That's what happens in your world, Silas. People use money as weapons. They play games with other people's lives. And I don't want any part of it. She turned to walk away, but Silas caught her hand. His grip was gentle but desperate. Please. Don't leave like this. Let me fix this. I can find a way to... Let her go, Silas. A new voice entered the conversation. The young woman who had come in with Victoria stepped forward. She had Silas's dark hair but lighter eyes. Mid-20s? Expensive dress, but something softer in her expression than their mother. Cassandra. Silas didn't let go of Arya's hand. Stay out of this. I can't. Cassandra looked at Arya with something that might have been sympathy. Because I'm the one who told Mother about your marriage. Silas's face went pale. What? I saw the marriage certificate in your office last month when I was visiting. Cassandra's voice was quiet. I thought you should tell Mother yourself. But when you didn't, I thought she deserved to know. I didn't realize she'd do this. I didn't know she'd go after an innocent person's family. You stupid. Silas started forward, but Arya stepped between them. Don't. Arya looked at Cassandra. Why are you telling me this now? Cassandra met her eyes. Because you deserve to know the truth about our family before you decide anything. Our mother isn't just cruel. She's strategic. She bought County General 3 months ago. Not this afternoon. She's been waiting for the right moment to use it as leverage against Silas. Your brother was just convenient timing. The pieces were clicking together in Arya's mind, and the picture they formed was ugly. She's been planning this. Arya's voice was hollow. She wanted Silas to fail. Wanted him to have to choose between helping me and keeping his money. She's been planning it for years. Cassandra pulled out her phone and showed Arya a photo. It was a detailed dossier on Arya, her work history, her relationship with Xavier, her brother's medical condition, everything. Mother has been tracking anyone Silas showed interest in since he came back to the company. When he started paying your brother's hospital bills anonymously, she knew he'd found someone he cared about. She's been waiting for him to make it official, so she could destroy it. Victoria Sterling didn't sleep much. She never had. While most of the city was still dark, she sat in her penthouse office on the 72nd floor of Sterling Tower, a cup of black coffee cooling on her desk. The rain from last night had stopped, leaving the windows streaked and blurred. Her phone buzzed. A message from her head of security. Morning edition is out. You'll want to see page 3. Victoria picked up the tablet her assistant had left on her desk. The New York Tribune's Society section loaded. The headline screamed in bold letters, "From cleaning floors to sterling floors." The photo below showed Silas and Aria leaving the Diamond Gala together, his arm around her shoulders, her looking up at him with an expression that could have been trust or could have been fear. Hard to tell in the rain, but it was the smaller photos that made Victoria's jaw tighten. One showed Silas on his knees beside Aria on the ballroom floor. Another captured the moment he'd chased after her. A third showed them in the rain, his hands on her face, her hands gripping his suit jacket. The article was worse than the photos. Sources say Sterling heir Silas Sterling secretly married Aria Monroe 3 months ago in a private ceremony. Monroe, a former cleaning woman who worked multiple jobs to support her ex-husband through medical school, caught Sterling's eye after saving his life 7 years ago when he was hospitalized following a hit-and-run accident. Last night's dramatic confrontation at the Diamond Gala revealed not only the secret marriage, but also a shocking family divide, as Sterling matriarch Victoria Sterling allegedly attempted to force an annulment by threatening Monroe's terminally ill teenage brother. The younger Sterling refused, declaring his intention to stay married regardless of family approval. When reached for comment, a Sterling Industries spokesperson said, "No comment at this time." Victoria set down the tablet with careful precision. Her office door opened. Cassandra walked in, still wearing last night's dress, her makeup smudged from lack of sleep. "I tried to stop them." Cassandra's voice was defensive before her mother even spoke. "I offered her everything you told me to offer. But Silas convinced her to give him a week to... I know what happened." Victoria's voice was cold. "I had 3 people at that gala feeding me information in real time. What I want to know is why you told that girl about my plans." Cassandra faltered. "I thought she deserved to know what she was walking into." "You thought wrong." Victoria stood, moving to the window. The city stretched below her like a kingdom. Her kingdom, built over 40 years of ruthless decisions and strategic sacrifices. That girl is not your concern. Your brother's future is. The family's legacy is. Not some woman who got lucky once and thinks it entitles her to our world. She saved his life, Mother. So did the surgeons. So did the nurses. Should we marry him off to all of them? Victoria turned to face her daughter. Silas is thinking with his heart, not his head. He always has. It's why he ran away 7 years ago. It's why he works himself to exhaustion at that medical company, instead of taking his rightful place here at Industries. He's sentimental. Weak. He's loyal. Cassandra's voice was quiet. There's a difference. Victoria studied her daughter. 26 years old, sharp mind. Decent instincts, but too soft, just like her brother. Loyalty is only valuable when it's directed at the right people. Victoria returned to her desk. Silas is loyal to a fantasy. A memory of a girl who showed him kindness when he was vulnerable. He's built her up in his mind as some kind of saint. The reality is much simpler. She's a poor woman who saw an opportunity and took it. You don't know that. Don't I? Victoria pulled up a file on her computer. I've had investigators watching Aria Munro for 6 months. Want to know what they found? She didn't wait for Cassandra to answer. She's worked 80-hour weeks for the last 4 years. Every penny went to paying off her ex-husband's student loans or saving for her brother's medical care. She lives in a 400-square-foot apartment in a building that should have been condemned. She eats 1 meal a day. She hasn't bought herself new clothes in 2 years. Victoria leaned back in her chair. She's also never once tried to contact Silas after he started anonymously paying her brother's bills. Never tried to find her mysterious benefactor. Never did anything except work herself to the bone and try to survive. Cassandra frowned. That doesn't sound like a gold digger. Exactly. Victoria's smile was thin. She's either genuinely that selfless, which makes her dangerous because Silas will never let her go, or she's the smartest con artist I've ever seen, playing the long game so well that even my investigators can't see the angle. Or maybe she's just a good person who got dealt a bad hand. There's no such thing as just a good person. Victoria's voice hardened. Everyone wants something. Everyone has a breaking point. I just need to find hers. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Marcus Chen, head of Sterling Global's legal department. We have a problem. His voice was tense. The story's gone viral. We're getting calls from every major news outlet. They want interviews with Silas. With the girl. They're digging into the family trust. Someone leaked information about the marriage clause. Victoria's hand tightened on the phone. Ooh. We're trying to trace it. But it looks like it came from inside the legal team. Someone who had access to the trust documents. Find them. Fire them. Then sue them into oblivion. Victoria ended the call. Cassandra was watching her with an expression Victoria couldn't quite read. What are you going to do? What I always do. Victoria pulled up her contact list. I'm going to give Silas exactly what he asked for. A week to prove he can protect that girl. And I'm going to make sure he fails spectacularly. She dialed a number. It rang twice before a smooth male voice answered. Mrs. Sterling. To what do I owe the pleasure? Robert, I have a job for you. Victoria's voice was pleasant, which made it more terrifying. I need you to run a complete background check on someone. Go deeper than the standard investigation. I want everything. Family history, medical records, financial records, school transcripts, parking tickets. Every embarrassing photo from high school. Everything. Who's the target? Aria Munro. And I need it done in 48 hours. That's aggressive. I'm paying you aggressively. Get it done. She hung up and turned back to Cassandra. Your brother thinks he can win this fight with love and determination. He's about to learn what happens when sentiment meets strategy. Cassandra's expression was troubled. What if she really is just a good person? What if destroying her destroys Silas too? Then he'll rebuild. Victoria's voice was matter of fact. He always does. And next time, he'll be smarter about who he trusts. Before Cassandra could respond, the office door burst open. Silas stood there, rain-soaked despite the clear morning, his tie loose, his eyes blazing with fury. "We need to talk. Now." Victoria dismissed Cassandra with a wave. Her daughter hesitated, then left, closing the door behind her. Mother and son faced each other, across the desk like generals before a battle. "I know what you're planning." Silas's voice was controlled, but barely. "I know you're going to dig into Arya's past. Try to find something to use against her. Try to prove she's not worthy of this family. Then you know me well." Victoria gestured to a chair. "I'll stand." "Switch yourself." Victoria took a sip of her cold coffee, made a face, and set it aside. "Let's be honest with each other, Silas. This girl is not right for you. She comes from nothing. She has no education, no connections, no understanding of how our world works. She has more integrity in her little finger than most of your board has in total. Integrity doesn't run $1 billion company." Victoria's voice was sharp. "Neither does love. Despite what fairy tales tell you, your father loved me. Look how that turned out." Silas flinched. His father had died of a heart attack 10 years ago, worked to death by the empire his wife had built. "Don't bring Dad into this." "Why not? He's relevant." Victoria stood, moving around her desk. "Your father was brilliant, kind, gentle. Everything you admire in people. And he was miserable every day of our marriage because he couldn't handle the pressure of this world. He loved me, and it destroyed him." She stopped in front of Silas. "You're just like him. You feel too much, care too much. And that girl you married, she'll either drag you down to her level, or this world will chew her up and spit her out. Either way, you both lose." "You're wrong." Silas's jaw was set. "Arya is stronger than you think. She's survived things that would have broken most people. She doesn't need your approval or your money. She just needs a chance. Then give her one." Victoria's smile was dangerous. "Prove me wrong. Show me she can handle this world. Show me she won't crumble the first time someone attacks her. The first time they question her worth. The first time they make her feel like she doesn't belong." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'll give you your week." Victoria returned to her desk. 7 days. No interference from me. No threats against her brother. No blocking his surgery. I'll even arrange for the best care possible at Sterling Medical Center." Silas's eyes narrowed. "What's the catch?" "At the end of 7 days, you both attend the Sterling Foundation Gala. In front of 500 of the most powerful people in this city. You'll introduce her as your wife. She'll be photographed, interviewed, scrutinized. She'll face questions about her background, her marriage, her intentions." Victoria leaned forward. "If she survives that night with her dignity intact, if she proves she can handle the pressure of being a Sterling, then I'll accept the marriage. I'll release your trust fund. I'll welcome her into the family. And if she doesn't, then you annul the marriage. No arguments, no second chances." Victoria's eyes were cold. "And you never speak to her again." Silas stared at his mother, trying to see the trap. "Because there was always a trap. Why would you agree to this?" "Because I'm tired of fighting you." Victoria's voice was almost convincing. "You're my son. I want you to be happy. If this girl can truly handle being part of this family, then maybe I've misjudged her. But if she can't, I want you to see it for yourself. No more what-ifs. No more wondering if I sabotaged something real. She extended her hand. 1 week, 1 gala. Let her prove herself. Silas looked at his mother's hand like it was a snake. Every instinct told him not to take the deal. His mother didn't make concessions, didn't offer compromises. If she was agreeing to this, it meant she was absolutely certain Arya would fail. But he thought about Arya, her strength, her resilience, the way she'd survived years of Xavier's cruelty and still had kindness left in her heart. Maybe his mother was underestimating her. Maybe this was the chance they needed. He shook her hand. 1 week, 1 gala, and when Arya proves you wrong, you accept her. Completely. No more games. Agreed. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. Now get out of my office. You smell like rain and poor decisions. Silas left, his mind already racing with how to prepare Arya for what was coming. He didn't see Victoria pick up her phone the moment the door closed. Robert, change of plans. I need that background check in 24 hours instead of 48. And I need you to find something specific. What am I looking for? Victoria's smile was cruel. Everyone has secrets. Everyone has something they're ashamed of, something they've buried. I need you to find Arya Monroe's. And when you do, I need you to make sure it surfaces at exactly the right moment. The gala. The gala, Victoria confirmed. I'm going to give my son his fairy tale. Right up until the moment it turns into a nightmare. She hung up and looked out at the city again. Let's see how strong you really are, Arya Monroe. Let's see if you can survive the Sterling family when we're not playing nice. Across town, Arya sat in Jaden's hospital room, watching her brother sleep. The doctors had said he was stable for now. Surgery was scheduled for 3 days from now. The best surgeon, the best facility, all courtesy of Victoria Sterling. Arya didn't trust it, didn't trust any of it. But she'd made a promise to Silas. 1 week. She owed him that much. What she didn't know was that in 72 hours, everything she'd tried to keep buried would come screaming back to destroy her. And the person who dug it up wasn't Victoria Sterling. It was someone much, much closer to home. Someone who'd been waiting 7 years for revenge. Silas looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Cassandra, why are you doing this? Because I'm tired of watching our family destroy good people. Cassandra's voice was firm. And because this woman deserves to make her choice with all the information, not just the parts you decided to share. She turned back to Arya. If you stay married to my brother, my mother will make your life hell. She'll block Jaden's surgery at every hospital she has connections with. She'll ruin your credit. She'll make sure you never work again. And she'll turn Silas into a pauper to teach him a lesson about defying her. Cassandra, stop. Silas's voice was desperate. But Cassandra kept going. However, if you annul the marriage tonight, walk away and sign a non-disclosure agreement, my mother will pay for Jaden's surgery. The best doctors, the best facility, complete care. She'll also give you $5 million to start a new life somewhere far from here. Arya felt like the floor had disappeared beneath her feet. Why would she do that? Because you'd be proving her point. Cassandra's expression was sad. That people like you can be bought. That love doesn't exist without money behind it. That Silas's feelings don't matter because everyone has a price. That's not true. Silas grabbed Arya's shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Arya, don't listen to her. We can fight this together. I don't care about the money.
But I care about my brother!
Arya's voice cracked. Don't you understand? Jaden is 15 years old. He has his whole life ahead of him. I can't let him die because of me. Because of this. He won't die. I promise you, I'll find a way. Stop making promises you might not be able to keep. Arya pushed him away. You're not God Silas. You're just a man. A man whose mother is more powerful than you are. A man who lied to me about who he was. A man I don't even know. The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Silas looked at her with eyes full of pain. You know me better than anyone. You knew me when I was nobody. When I was just a broken man in a hospital bed. You saw something worth saving then. Why can't you see it now? Because then you had nothing to give me except your humanity. Arya's tears were falling freely now. Now everything comes with strings. With conditions. With family, politics, and money, and choices that shouldn't exist. She turned to Cassandra. If I take your mother's deal, Jaden gets his surgery. You swear it. Arya, no. Silas reached for her, but she stepped back. Cassandra nodded slowly. I'll make sure of it personally. I'll oversee his care myself. And the $5 million. Arya's voice was hollow. What's the catch? You leave the city. You never contact Silas again. You never speak about this marriage publicly. You disappear from his life completely. Cassandra's voice was gentle. I know it sounds cruel, but it's the only way my mother will agree to help your brother. Arya looked at Silas, really looked at him. This man who claimed he'd waited years for her. Who said he'd loved her from the moment she held his hand in a hospital room. Who had just destroyed her ex-husband to defend her honor. This man she'd been married to for 3 months without even knowing it. I'm sorry. The words came out as a whisper. I can't let Jaden die for a marriage I don't even remember. Silas's face crumbled. Arya, please. Give me time. Give me a chance to fix this. Don't let my mother win. This isn't about winning or losing. Arya wiped her tears with the back of her hand. This is about survival. And I've been surviving my whole life. I know how to walk away from things that will destroy me. She turned to Cassandra. I'll take the deal. But I want it in writing. Tonight. And I want to watch Jaden go into surgery myself before I sign anything final. Cassandra nodded. Agreed. My lawyers are outside. We can draft the paperwork now. No. Silas's voice was broken. Arya, don't do this. Please. I love you. The words stopped everyone cold. Arya turned back to him, and her expression was full of sadness. You love the idea of me, the girl who saved you when no one else would. But you don't know me, Silas. You know a memory, a fantasy, and I can't build a life on that. Not when it costs everything. She started walking toward the exit. Cassandra followed, already pulling out her phone to call the lawyers. Silas stood frozen, watching the woman he'd waited 7 years for walk away. Then he did something that made the entire ballroom gasp. He ran after her. Not a dignified walk. Not a casual pursuit. A full sprint that sent champagne glasses crashing and made people jump out of his way. He caught up to Arya at the door, spinning her around. 1 week. His voice was desperate. Give me 1 week to prove I can fix this without you having to sacrifice yourself. If I can't get my mother to back down, if I can't secure Jaden's surgery another way, Then I'll sign the annulment papers myself. I'll let you go. But please, Arya, give me 7 days before you disappear from my life forever. Arya looked up at him. This man, who'd just lost everything he cared about in a single night, because he'd tried to protect her. Why? Her voice was tired. Why does it matter so much? Silas took her hand and pressed it against his chest. She could feel his heart racing. Because 7 years ago, you taught me that some people save others for no other reason than it's the right thing to do. You didn't know who I was. Didn't know what I could give you. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped. That changed everything for me. It made me want to be worthy of that kindness. He held her gaze. I've spent 7 years building a fortune, so I'd never be helpless again. So I could protect the people I love. And the first time I actually need all that power, the first time it really matters, I can't help the one person who matters most. Please don't make me watch you walk away without even trying to fight for you. The rain had started outside. Arya could hear it drumming against the glass doors. She thought about Jaden in his hospital bed, about the life she could give him with $5 million, about the safety of walking away from a world that had already proven it could destroy her. Then she thought about the boy in the hospital bed 7 years ago, the one nobody wanted, the one she'd saved anyway. 1 week. She pulled her hand back. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this because I want to look my brother in the eyes and tell him I tried everything before I made a deal with your mother. Silas's expression flooded with relief and hope. 1 week. I promise. I won't waste a second of it. Cassandra stepped forward, her expression unreadable. You're making a mistake. Both of you. Our mother doesn't lose. Ever. Then it's time she learned. Silas looked at his sister with determination. Tell her the deal's off. Tell her Arya and I are staying married. And tell her if she touches Jaden or anyone in Arya's family, I'll burn Sterling Industries to the ground and salt the earth where it stood. Cassandra's eyes widened. You're serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Silas wrapped his arm around Arya's shoulders. Come on. Let's get out of here. We have a lot to talk about. As they walked into the rain together, neither of them saw the figure watching from the shadows. A man with a camera and a very interested expression. By morning, the photos would be everywhere, and Victoria Sterling would see them over breakfast. The war had only just begun. Victoria's smile widened. So you have 2 choices, Miss Monroe. Annul this ridiculous marriage and walk away with nothing. Or stay married and watch my son lose everything he's built. Either way, you lose. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. Your brother's surgery. Consider it cancelled. I own County General as of this afternoon. No Sterling facility will treat your family. I hope your little fairy tale was worth his life. Then Victoria Sterling walked out, leaving destruction in her wake. Arya looked up at Silas, whose face had gone pale. Tell me she's bluffing about Jaden. The hesitation in Silas's eyes told her everything she needed to know. This wasn't a rescue. It was a trap, and she'd walked right into it. Arya hadn't been back to her apartment in 2 days. Silas had insisted she stay at his penthouse. Said it was safer. Said he wanted to make sure she was okay. said a lot of things that sounded reasonable, but felt like control. She'd agreed anyway. Because the truth was, her apartment was a reminder of everything she'd lost. Every corner held a memory of working herself to exhaustion. Every wall whispered about failure. Silas's penthouse was different. 23rd floor. Floor took ceiling windows overlooking the river. Furniture that probably cost more than she'd earned in her entire life. A guest room with a bed so soft she barely slept because it felt wrong. She stood at those windows now, watching the city wake up, a cup of coffee growing cold in her hands. Behind her, she heard Silas's footsteps. He'd been on the phone in his office for the last hour, probably dealing with the media storm. The story had exploded overnight. Her face was everywhere, her past dissected by strangers. "You should eat something." Silas's voice was gentle as he entered the living room. He was wearing a suit already, even though it was barely 7 in the morning, looking every inch the billionaire heir. "I'm not hungry." "Aria, you haven't eaten since yesterday lunch." "I said I'm not hungry." Her voice came out sharper than she intended. Silas was quiet for a moment. Then he moved to stand beside her at the window, careful to keep a respectful distance. "I talked to my mother this morning." Aria's grip tightened on the coffee cup. "And?" "She agreed to back off. Jaden's surgery is confirmed for 3 days from now. Dr. Chen himself will perform it. No interference. No conditions. Except..." Silas hesitated. "Except we both attend the Sterling Foundation Gala in 7 days. You'll be introduced as my wife. Officially. To everyone who matters in this city." Aria finally turned to look at him. "That's not backing off. That's setting me up for public humiliation." "It's a test." Silas met her eyes. "If you can handle one night in my world, she'll accept the marriage. She'll release my trust fund. She'll stop fighting us. And if I can't handle it, then we annul the marriage. I let you go." His voice was rough. "Those are her terms." Aria laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So I either survive being fed to the wolves, or your mother wins. Those are my options. You're stronger than you think." "Stop saying that." Aria set the coffee cup down hard enough that it sloshed. "You don't know how strong I am. You don't know anything about me except what you saw 7 years ago. A girl being kind to a stranger. That's it. That's all you know. Then tell me." Silas turned to face her fully. "Tell me who you really are. Tell me what I don't know. Because I want to know everything, Aria. I want to understand you." Aria looked at him. This man who'd appended her entire life with good intentions and terrible timing. This man who looked at her like she was something precious when she felt like something broken. "You want to know who I am?" Her voice was quiet. "I'm a woman who's been invisible her whole life. I cleaned toilets while rich people walked past me like I didn't exist. I worked myself half to death for a man who threw me away like garbage. I saved your life because it was the right thing to do, not because I expected anything in return. And now I'm standing in a penthouse, worth more than my entire neighborhood, married to a man I don't know, about to be paraded in front of people who will judge every breath I take." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I'm terrified, Silas. Terrified that your mother is right. That I don't belong in this world. That I'm going to embarrass you. That I'm going to fail and Jaden will pay the price for it. Silas reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hands in his. You won't fail. I won't let you. You can't promise that. Then let me help you prepare. I have a team. People who can teach you.
Teach me what?
Arya pulled her hands back. How to pretend to be someone I'm not. How to act like I belong with people who wouldn't have looked at me twice a week ago. How to smile while they pick me apart. How to defend yourself. Silas's voice was firm. How to answer questions without giving them ammunition. How to carry yourself with confidence. You already have the strength, Arya. You just need the tools. Before Arya could respond, Silas's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression darkened. What is it? My mother just released a statement to the press. He turned the phone so Arya could see. The headline read, Victoria Sterling welcomes son's new wife, plans formal introduction at Foundation Gala. The statement was perfectly crafted, gracious, welcoming, full of phrases like, excited to meet her, and look forward to getting to know Arya. It was a trap wrapped in kindness. She's controlling the narrative. Arya's voice was hollow, making herself look reasonable, so when I fail, it's all on me. You're not going to fail. Arya was about to argue when her own phone rang. A number she didn't recognize. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello, Arya Monroe. The voice was female, young, nervous. Who is this? My name is Jennifer Ross. I'm a reporter with the Tribune. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions about... Arya hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Different number. Then again. And again. They found my number. Arya stared at the phone like it was a bomb. How did they find my number? Silas took the phone gently from her hands and powered it off. I'll get you a new one. A private line. We should have done that already. This is insane. Arya sank onto the couch. My life was quiet 3 days ago. Anonymous. Now I can't even answer my phone. I know. Silas sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. I'm sorry. I never wanted this for you. If I could take it back. But you can't. Arya looked at him. None of this can be taken. Remarried. Your mother knows. The whole city knows. There's no going back to before. They sat in silence for a moment. The morning light was getting stronger, painting the penthouse in shades of gold. Then Silas's phone rang. He looked at the screen and frowned. It's Cassandra. I should take this, he answered. What is it? Arya watched his face change. Confusion. Then shock. Then something that looked like fear. Are you sure? His voice was tight. When did this happen? Does mother know? He listened for another moment, then ended the call. What's wrong? Arya asked. Silas looked at her. And there was something in his expression that made her stomach drop. Cassandra just got a tip from a friend at the Tribune. Someone contacted them this morning with information about you. About your past. What kind of information? I don't know yet. But whoever it is, they're claiming they have proof that you're not who you say you are. That there's something in your history you've been hiding. Arya felt the blood drain from her face. That's ridiculous. I'm nobody. I have nothing to hide. But even as she said it, she felt the ice creeping up her spine. Because that wasn't entirely true. There was something. One thing. From a long time ago. something she'd buried so deep. She'd almost convinced herself it never happened. Arya. Silas was watching her carefully. Is there anything you need to tell me? Anything from your past that someone could use against you? No. The lie came automatically. There's nothing. Silas studied her face for a long moment. Okay. Then we'll deal with whatever this is together. Cassandra's trying to find out who contacted the Tribune and what they're claiming. We'll get ahead of it. But even as he said it, Arya's mind was racing backward. 15 years. To when she was 13 years old. To a decision she'd made in desperation that had haunted her ever since. To a secret she'd sworn no one would ever find out. Her phone, still in Silas's hand, buzzed with a text despite being powered off. Emergency bypass message. Silas looked at the screen, and his face went white. What? Arya grabbed the phone from him. The message was from an unknown number. Just 2 lines. Hello, Arya. Remember me. See you at the gala. We have so much to catch up on. Below the text was a photo. Old. Grainy. A young girl with dark skin and frightened eyes, standing outside a pawn shop, holding something she shouldn't have had. Arya's hands started shaking. Who is this? Silas's voice was careful. Arya, who sent this? But Arya couldn't answer. Because she was staring at the photo, at the evidence of the worst mistake of her life, and realizing that someone had been waiting 15 years to use it against her. The phone buzzed again. Another message. Stealing is wrong, Arya. Even when you're hungry. Even when your brother is crying. The city would love to know that Sterling's new wife is a thief. Wonder what your mother-in-law would think. Arya's vision blurred. The room tilted. I need to go. She stood up too fast, stumbling. Silas caught her arm. Arya, talk to me. What is this about? I can't. Tears were streaming down her face now. I can't do this. I can't go to that gala. I can't face these people. I need to take your mother's deal. I need to walk away before this gets worse. Nunb. Silas's grip tightened. Whatever this is, we'll fix it. Together. You don't have to run.
You don't understand?
Arya pulled away from him. Your mother was right. I don't belong in your world. I never did. And whoever sent this is going to make sure everyone knows it. She grabbed her jacket and headed for the door. Where are you going? Silas followed her. To the hospital. To see Jaden. To figure out what the hell I'm going to do. Let me come with you. No. Arya stopped at the door, her hand on the handle. I need to be alone right now. I need to think. Arya, please. I'll be back. She didn't look at him. I just need a few hours. She left before he could argue. The elevator ride down felt like falling. 23 floors of wondering how everything had gone so wrong so fast. When she reached the lobby, there were photographers waiting. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. Arya! Is it true you were married to a doctor?
Arya!
How did you meet Silas Sterling?
Arya!
What do you say to people who think you're a gold digger? Arya pushed through them, head down, hands shaking. A car pulled up. Not the one Silas had arranged for her. A different one, dark blue sedan. The window rolled down. A woman sat in the driver's seat. Mid-40s, brown skin, familiar eyes. Need a ride, little sister. Arya froze. Because the woman in the car was someone she hadn't seen in 15 years. Someone she'd thought was dead. Maya. Arya's voice was barely a whisper. Her older sister smiled. but it wasn't a kind smile. Surprise. I'm back. And we need to talk about that photo I just sent you. About what you took from me all those years ago. About what you owe me. Maya leaned forward, her eyes cold. Get in the car, Arya. Unless you want me to tell the nice reporters all about your criminal past. I'm sure they'd love to hear how the Sterling family's new princess once stole from her own sister. Arya looked back at the building, at the photographers, at the trap closing in from all sides. Then she got in the car, and as Maya drove away, neither of them saw the black SUV that started following at a careful distance. Inside, Victoria Sterling's head of security made a phone call. Mrs. Sterling, we have a development. A woman claiming to be Arya's sister just picked her up. They're heading east toward the Old Harbor District. Victoria's voice came through crisp and satisfied. Follow them. Record everything. And call Robert. Tell him to hold that background check. I think Miss Monroe's past just came looking for her all on its own. The war for Arya's future had just entered a new phase, and she was about to learn that sometimes the monsters from your past wear familiar faces. The car smelled like cigarettes and cheap air freshener. Maya drove in silence for the first 10 minutes, weaving through traffic with the casual aggression of someone who'd spent years driving in worse conditions. Arya sat frozen in the passenger seat, her mind struggling to process what was happening. Maya, her sister, alive. The sister who'd disappeared when Arya was 13 and Maya was 18. The sister who'd left one night with their mother's emergency money and never came back. The sister they'd held a funeral for 3 years later, when the police found a body that was never properly identified, but close enough that their mother had accepted it. Their mother, who died of grief 6 months after that funeral. You're alive. Arya's voice sounded strange to her own ears. You've been alive this whole time, obviously. Maya's voice was different than Arya remembered. Harder, rougher around the edges, disappointed. I don't know what I am. Maya laughed, but it was bitter. Well, that makes 2 of us. I spent 15 years building a life away from this city, away from our past. And then I see your face on the news. Little Arya, the girl who could do no wrong. Married to a billionaire, living in a penthouse, playing Cinderella. She turned sharply down a side street, heading toward the old industrial district where they'd grown up. Where are we going? Arya asked. Or what's left of it? They drove through neighborhoods that got progressively worse. Buildings with broken windows, streets with more potholes than pavement. The parts of the city that people like Silas Sterling never saw. Finally, Maya pulled up in front of a building Arya recognized with a sickening lurch. Their childhood apartment building, still standing, barely. Why are we here? Maya turned off the engine and looked at Arya for the first time since she'd gotten in the car. Because I want you to remember where you came from before you forget completely. She got out of the car. Arya followed, her legs unsteady. The building looked worse than Arya remembered. The front door hung at an angle. The lobby was covered in graffiti. The elevator had an out of order sign that looked 20 years old. Maya headed for the stairs. Arya followed. 4th floor. The same apartment where they'd grown up. Maya pulled out a key and opened the door. Inside was a time capsule of poverty. The same worn furniture. The same water-stained ceiling. The same smell of mold and desperation. But it wasn't empty. Someone was living here. There were fresh clothes hanging over a chair. Food on the counter. A laptop on the table. You're living here. Arya looked around in disbelief. Why? Because it's cheap. Because I needed to be in the city. Because I wanted to see my baby sister one more time before she disappeared into her new life completely. Maya walked to the window that overlooked the street. 15 years, Arya. 15 years I stayed away, built a life in Chicago, got married, had a daughter, worked my way up from nothing to something. And then my husband died. Cancer. The medical bills destroyed us. I lost everything. She turned to face Arya. So I came back to the one place I swore I'd never return to. And you know what I found? My baby sister on the news, wearing expensive clothes, living in a palace, married to one of the richest men in the country. Maya, I didn't know. If I'd known you were alive, you would have done what? Maya's voice was sharp. Shared your fairy tale. Introduced me to your billionaire husband. Hey, Sealers, meet my sister who everyone thinks is dead. The one who abandoned us. The one who destroyed our mother. Arya flinched. That's not fair. Fair. Maya laughed again, and this time there was real pain in it. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about that photo I sent you. The one of you outside Jimmy's pawn shop. The one where you're holding Mom's wedding ring. Arya's blood turned to ice. That ring was the only thing of value we had. Maya's voice was quiet now. Dangerous. The only thing Mom had left of Dad. And you stole it from my drawer and pawned it for $200 so you could buy Jaden medicine. He was sick. Arya's voice shook. He was 5 years old and burning up with fever, and we had no money for the doctor. You were gone. Mom was falling apart. I did what I had to do. You stole from me. Maya stepped closer. I was saving that ring. I was going to use it to get out of this place. To start over somewhere better. And you took the chance from me. I was 13 years old. Arya's voice rose. I was a kid trying to keep my baby brother alive. I didn't know what else to do. And I was 18, trying to survive after Dad died, and Mom checked out emotionally. We were all suffering, Arya. But I'm the one who got blamed for everything. I'm the one who had to leave because everyone looked at me like I was the villain. Maya pulled out her phone and brought up a folder of photos. Dozens of them, all of Arya from that time period, sneaking out of their apartment, walking to the pawn shop, coming back with cash. I saw you that day. I was across the street, watching. I'd come back to get the ring because I'd finally saved enough money to leave. And I saw you take it. Saw you sell it. Saw you choose Jaden over me. Tears were streaming down her face now, so I left. I let everyone think I was dead because it was easier than admitting my own sister stole the only thing I had left of our family. Arya felt like she couldn't breathe. Maya, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If I could go back, but you can't. Maya wiped her eyes roughly. Just like I can't go back and tell Mom I was alive. Can't go back and meet my niece before she died thinking her aunt was gone. Wait. Niece. Maya saw the confusion on Arya's face and her expression twisted. You didn't even know. Mom had a girl. 2 years after I left. Got pregnant by some guy who disappeared. She named her Hope. probably hoping she could fix everything that was broken. But hope died at 6 months old. Arya's knees gave out. She sank onto the worn couch. No, that's not Mom, never. Mom never told you because you were 16 and already working 2 jobs to support Jaden. She didn't want to burden you with more grief. She buried that baby girl alone while you were at work. Then she died 6 months later. Heart attack, the coroner said. Broken heart, I say. Maya's voice was hollow now. I found out about all of it from a neighbor who tracked me down in Chicago. By then, Mom was already in the ground. Baby Hope too. And you were 19, raising Jaden alone. And I thought about coming back. Thought about helping you. But I was angry. So angry at you for taking that ring. For making choices that pushed me away. For being the good daughter, while I was the one everyone was happy to forget. She sat down heavily in a chair across from Arya. And now here you are. Married to Silas Sterling. Living a life I can't even imagine. And I'm back in this apartment with $53 in my bank account and a daughter in Chicago who needs surgery I can't afford. The pieces clicked together in Arya's mind. You have a daughter, Mia. She's 12. She has the same kidney condition Jaden has. Genetic, apparently. Runs in our family. The surgery costs $300,000. I've been trying to save for 2 years. I'm at $40,000. Maya looked at Arya with eyes full of pain and desperation, and something that looked like hate. So when I saw you on the news, married to a man who could pay for Mia's surgery with pocket change, I thought maybe God was giving me a second chance. Maybe my baby sister, who took from me, could finally give back. Maya, I don't have access to Silas's money like that. We're married, but it's complicated. His mother. I don't care about his mother. Maya leaned forward. I care about my daughter. And you're going to help me. How? Maya pulled out a contract and slid it across the table. I want $2 million. Enough for Maya's surgery and enough to start over somewhere far from here. You get me that money, and I disappear. I delete the photos. I forget I ever had a sister who stole from me. Arya picked up the contract with shaking hands. It was professionally drawn up. Legal with a signature line at the bottom. And if I don't, then I go to the press. I tell them about the theft. About how you stole from your own family. About how the perfect Cinderella story is built on lies and crime. I'll destroy you at that gala your mother-in-law is planning. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you really are. Maya's voice was cold now. All the emotion drained away. You took my chance at a better life 15 years ago. Now I'm taking yours unless you pay me back. $2 million. You have until the night before the gala. That gives you 6 days. I can't get that kind of money in 6 days. You're married to a billionaire. Figure it out. Arya stared at the contract. At the sister she'd mourned. At the choice that had no good options. You know what the worst part is. Maya's voice was soft now. I don't even hate you for taking the ring. I understand why you did it. Jaden was dying, and you were desperate. I get it. But you never came looking for me. Never tried to find out if I was alive. You just accepted that I was gone and moved on with your life. The police found a body. The police found a Jane Doe that was close enough that Mom wanted it to be me, so she could have closure. But you. You never questioned it. Never wondered if maybe your big sister was out there somewhere needing help. The words hit Arya like physical blows because they were true. She'd been relieved when they said Maya was dead. Relieved to have one less thing to worry about. One less person to take care of. I'm sorry. The words felt pathetically inadequate. Maya, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't pay for my daughter's surgery. Maya stood up. 6 days. $2 million. Or I burn your new life to the ground. Arya's phone buzzed. Multiple messages from Silas, asking where she was. If she was okay. Telling her that his security team had lost track of her car. You should answer him. Maya walked to the door. Tell him you're fine. Tell him you needed some air. Don't tell him about me. Not yet. Not until you've figured out how you're going to get my money. And if I tell him anyway, if I explain everything. Maya smiled, and it was sad. Then you're betting they'll believe you over the evidence. That he'll stand by you when the photos leak. That his mother won't use this as proof that you're not worthy of their family. Are you willing to take that risk? She opened the door. I'll be in touch about the transfer details. 6 days, little sister. Don't waste them. Maya left, leaving Arya alone in their childhood apartment, with memories pressing in from all sides. Arya looked around at the peeling wallpaper, the stained carpet, the windows that looked out at the same poverty they'd grown up in. This was her truth. This was who she really was. Not a princess in a penthouse. Not the wife of a billionaire. Just a girl from the projects who'd made impossible choices and was still paying for them. Her phone rang. Silas. She stared at it for a long moment before answering. Arya. Thank God. Where are you? My security team said you got into an unfamiliar car. Are you safe? I'm fine. The lies came easier than they should have. I just needed to clear my head. I took a cab to the old neighborhood. Walked around. Remembered things. Do you want me to come get you? No. I need to do this alone. I'll be back in a few hours. Okay. He sounded uncertain. But Arya, about that text you received, we need to talk about it. Figure out who sent it and what they want. I know. We will. I just need a little more time. She hung up before he could ask more questions. Then she sat in that apartment, in the place where she'd lost everything, before she ever had anything to lose, and tried to figure out how to save herself without destroying everyone around her. Outside, in the black SUV, Victoria Sterling's security team was recording everything. They'd followed Maya from the moment she'd picked up Arya. They'd documented the whole meeting. They had audio from listening devices planted in the apartment months ago when Victoria had first learned about Arya. They had everything they needed to destroy her. The team leader made a call. Mrs. Sterling, you were right. There is a sister, and she's blackmailing Arya Monroe for $2 million. The threat is real. The photos are real. This gets out, and your son's wife will be exposed as a thief who stole from her own family. Victoria's voice came through calm and satisfied. Perfect. Don't interfere. Let it play out. I want to see what Arya does. If she tells Silas, she might have a chance. If she tries to hide it, she proves she's exactly what I thought she was. And if she tries to pay the blackmail, then we have evidence that she's willing to steal from my son to protect herself. Either way, we win. Victoria ended the call and smiled. She'd given Arya a week to prove herself, but Arya's own past had just made that impossible. The gala was in 6 days, and Arya had a choice to make that would determine everything. Tell the truth and risk losing Silas. Pay the blackmail and become a thief again. Or find a third option that didn't exist yet. Back in the apartment, Arya made her decision. She pulled out her phone and made a call to the one person who might understand. The phone rang 3 times before a female voice answered. "This is Cassandra Sterling." Arya took a deep breath. "Cassandra, it's Arya. I need your help. And I need you not to tell your mother or your brother what I'm about to say." There was a pause. Then Cassandra's voice came through, careful but curious. "I'm listening." The Sterling Foundation Gala was being called the event of the season. The Grand Marquis Hotel had been transformed into something from a dream. Crystal chandeliers dripped from 30-foot ceilings. White roses covered every surface. A string quartet played soft music that probably cost more per hour than most people made in a week. 500 guests, all of them rich, all of them powerful. All of them waiting to see the woman who'd captured Silas Sterling's heart. Arya stood in a preparation suite on the hotel's 3rd floor, staring at herself in a full-length mirror and barely recognizing the woman looking back. The dress had been Cassandra's choice, deep emerald green silk that flowed like water. Simple, elegant, nothing too flashy, nothing that screamed, trying too hard. Her hair was swept up, a few curls framing her face. Makeup subtle but perfect. She looked like she belonged. It was the best lie she'd ever told without saying a word. "You look beautiful." Cassandra stood behind her, adjusting the dress's train. "Breathe. You're going to be fine." Arya met Cassandra's eyes in the mirror. "You don't have to pretend. We both know what's about to happen." The last 6 days had been a blur. After calling Cassandra from that apartment, Arya had told her everything. About the theft, about the blackmail, about the impossible choice she was facing. Cassandra had listened without judgment. Then she'd said something that surprised Arya. "Don't pay her, and don't hide it from Silas. Tell him the truth. All of it. Let him decide if he can handle your past. He'll leave me, maybe, or maybe he'll prove he's better than you think he is." But Arya hadn't told Silas. Not yet. She'd spent the week preparing for the gala, learning names and faces, practicing answers to questions she knew would come, trying to build armor out of confidence she didn't feel, and avoiding every call from Maya, who'd sent increasingly threatening messages as the deadline approached. The final message had come this morning. "Tonight at the gala. Bring the money or I bring the photos. Your choice?" Little sister. Arya had $200,000. Money Cassandra had loaned her quietly, against her better judgment. Not even close to the 2 million Maya wanted. It didn't matter. Arya wasn't paying. She'd made a different choice, one that terrified her more than anything else. She was going to tell the truth. Tonight, in front of everyone. Let them judge her. Let them decide if a girl from the projects who'd stolen to save her brother's life deserved a second chance. Let Silas decide if she was worth fighting for. "It's time." Cassandra squeezed her shoulder. "Silas is waiting downstairs. Are you ready?" "No." Arya turned to face her. "But I'm going anyway." They walked to the elevator. rode down in silence. The doors opened to reveal a hallway filled with photographers and reporters being held back by security. And there, at the end of the hallway, stood Silas. He was wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than a car, looking every inch the billionaire. But when he saw Arya, his expression softened into something that made her chest ache. He walked toward her like she was the only person in the world. "You look stunning." He took her hands, studying her face. "Are you okay? You've been distant all week." "I'm scared." "Me too." He smiled, but there was tension in it. "My mother has been too quiet, too cooperative. I don't trust it." "Silas." Arya gripped his hands tighter. "Before we go in there, I need to tell you something. About my past. About something I did, Mr. Sterling." A hotel manager appeared, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Sterling requested you come to the ballroom. The donors are asking for you." Silas looked torn. "Can it wait? Just until after the speeches?" Arya wanted to say no. Wanted to pull him aside and tell him everything right now, in this hallway, before they walked into that ballroom and her world exploded. But she nodded. After the speeches, he kissed her forehead gently. "Whatever it is, we'll handle it together. I promise." They walked into the ballroom hand in hand. The room fell silent. 500 faces turned to look at them. Arya felt their eyes like physical weight, judging, measuring, deciding if she was worthy. Victoria Sterling stood on a raised platform at the far end of the room, a microphone in her hand, looking like a queen surveying her kingdom. "Ladies and gentlemen, my son Silas and his wife Arya have arrived. Please, let's give them a warm welcome." The applause was polite, measured, not quite warm. Silas led Arya through the crowd. People parted for them, whispers following in their wake. "Is that really her? She's younger than I thought. Pretty girl. Wonder how long it'll last. I heard she was a cleaning woman. Gold digger, obviously." Arya kept her head high, her hand in Silas's, and tried to remember how to breathe. They reached the platform, where Victoria waited. She looked at Arya with an expression that could have been approval, or could have been the look a cat gives a mouse before the kill. "Arya, my dear, you look lovely." Victoria's voice carried through the room. "I'm so glad you could join us tonight. Thank you for inviting me." Arya's voice was steadier than she felt. Victoria turned to the crowd. "As many of you know, my son Silas recently married this remarkable young woman. Arya comes from humble beginnings, but she has a heart of gold. She saved Silas's life 7 years ago, and now she's saved his heart." The crowd made appreciative sounds. It all seemed so perfect, so scripted, too perfect. "I'd like to invite Arya to say a few words." Victoria stepped aside, gesturing to the microphone. "Tell us about yourself, dear. Help us get to know the newest member of the Sterling family." It wasn't a request. It was a test. Arya looked at Silas. He nodded encouragingly, squeezing her hand before letting go. She stepped up to the microphone. 500 faces stared at her expectantly. This was the moment. Her chance to control the narrative before someone else did. "Thank you all for being here tonight." Her voice came through the speakers, stronger than she expected. "Mrs. Sterling is right. I do come from humble beginnings. I grew up in the projects on the east side. My father died when I was 8. My mother raised 3 children alone until she passed when I was 16. She saw some faces in the crowd soften with sympathy. Others remained skeptical. I worked as a cleaning woman for years. 3 jobs, night shifts. I put my ex-husband through medical school, and when he graduated, he divorced me. I lost everything. Or I thought I did. Aria took a breath. 7 years ago, I was working at County General Hospital, cleaning rooms on the ICU floor. I found a patient alone, unconscious, no family, no insurance. The hospital was going to let him die because no one would pay for his care. She found Silas in the crowd. He was watching her with an intensity that gave her courage. I lied, told them I was his sister, set up a payment plan I couldn't afford, worked extra shifts to keep him alive, not because I expected anything in return, not because I knew who he was, but because it was the right thing to do. The room was completely silent now. That man was Silas Sterling, and 3 months ago, when my younger brother needed surgery I couldn't afford, Silas found me, offered to help. We got married so I could access his insurance to save Jaden's life. She saw Victoria's expression tighten. This wasn't the speech she'd expected. I know what many of you are thinking. That I married him for money. That I'm a gold digger who got lucky. And maybe some of you are right. Maybe I don't belong in this world. Maybe I never will. Aria's voice grew stronger. But I want you to know something about who I am, about the choices I've made. Because I'm not going to stand here and pretend to be someone I'm not. This was it, the moment of truth. When I was 13 years old, my baby brother was dying of pneumonia. We had no money for medicine, no way to save him. My older sister had a ring, our mother's wedding ring, the only thing of value we owned. I stole it from her drawer and pawned it for $200 to buy Jaden's medicine. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Silas's face went pale. Victoria's smile widened. She'd been waiting for this. My sister left that night. We thought she died. We held a funeral for her. And I've carried the guilt of that theft for 15 years. Carried the knowledge that I destroyed my family to save my brother. Aria's voice cracked. But she pushed through. 5 days ago, my sister came back. She's alive. She has a daughter who needs the same surgery Jaden had. And she wants $2 million to stay quiet about what I did. To keep my past buried so I can keep pretending to belong here. The silence in the room was deafening. I'm not paying her. I'm not hiding anymore. Because I learned something from Silas. From the man I married. That sometimes the right thing and the easy thing aren't the same. And I'd rather stand here and tell you the truth, lose everything, than build a life on lies. Aria looked directly at Victoria. I stole from my own sister to save my brother's life. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of loving Jaden more than my pride. And if that makes me unworthy of your family, Mrs. Sterling, then I accept that. She turned to Silas. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was afraid. Afraid you'd look at me differently. Afraid you'd realize your mother was right about me. Tears were streaming down her face now, but she didn't wipe them away. I understand if you want to end this marriage. I won't fight it. But I needed you to hear the truth from me. Not from blackmail. Not from your mother's investigators. From me. She stepped away from the microphone. The room erupted. People were shouting questions. Cameras were flashing. Reporters who'd snuck in were scrambling for their phones. And through it all, Silas just stood there, staring at Aria like he was seeing her for the first time. Victoria stepped forward, taking the microphone. Well, that was certainly honest. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we all need a moment to process. No. Silas's voice cut through the chaos. He walked to the platform, taking the microphone from his mother. No. We don't need a moment. He turned to face the crowd. Aria just told you about the worst moment of her life. The choice she made when she was 13 years old and desperate and alone. She told you because she refused to be blackmailed. Because she values truth over comfort. His voice grew stronger. How many people in this room can say the same? How many of you have made questionable choices? Cut corners. Hurt people in the name of success. How many of you are standing here in expensive clothes, judging a woman who stole to save her dying brother, while you've stolen so much more in the name of profit? The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Silas turned to his mother. You wanted to test her. Wanted to prove she couldn't handle this world. Well, you were right. She can't. Because she's better than this world. She's better than us. He stepped off the platform and walked to Aria. I don't care what you did when you were 13. I don't care that you come from nothing. I care that you're the kind of person who works 3 jobs to put someone else through school, who saves strangers in hospitals, who tells the truth even when it costs everything. He took her hands. I love you, Aria Monroe, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And if my mother can't accept that, if this family can't accept that, then I don't need the trust fund. I don't need the company. I just need you. Aria couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Could only stare at this man who'd just chosen her in front of everyone who mattered in his world. Silas. Victoria's voice was sharp. Think about what you're saying. Think about what you're giving up. I have thought about it. Silas didn't take his eyes off Aria. For 7 years. And I'm done waiting. Done playing games. Done pretending that money and status matter more than the people we love. He turned back to the crowd. My wife told you the truth tonight. Now I'll tell you mine. 7 years ago, I was running away from this family, from the pressure, from the expectations. I was working construction under a fake name because I wanted to prove I could make it on my own. When that car hit me, I should have died, would have died. But Aria saved me. He looked at her with eyes full of emotion. She didn't know I was a sterling. Didn't know I came from money. She just saw someone who needed help. And she helped. No agenda, no expectations, just kindness. Silas pulled out his phone and projected an image onto the large screen behind the platform. It was the hospital records from 7 years ago, showing Aria's payment plan, the installments she'd made. $200 a month for 3 years to pay for a stranger's medical bills. She worked herself to exhaustion to keep me alive. Then she walked away without asking for anything. When I finally found her again, she didn't even recognize me. Didn't remember the man she'd saved. He put the phone away. That's who Aria is. Someone who saves people and doesn't keep score. Someone who sacrifices for others without expecting recognition. And yes, she made a mistake when she was 13. She stole from her sister. but she did it to save her brother's life. How many of you wouldn't have done the same? The crowd was silent now, really listening. So here's what's going to happen. Silas's voice was firm. Arya and I are staying married. We're going to use whatever money I have access to help her sister's daughter get the surgery she needs, because that's what family does. Real family. He turned to Victoria. And Mother, I'm done letting you control my life. Done letting you use money as a weapon. If you can't accept Arya, then you've lost me. Not because she's forcing me to choose, but because I'm choosing her. Victoria's face was unreadable. For a long moment, she just stared at her son. Then she did something no one expected. She laughed. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't mocking. It was genuine. Well, Victoria stepped forward. That's the most backbone you've shown in years. She looked at Arya. I knew about your sister. Knew about the theft. Knew about the blackmail. I had investigators following you for days, waiting to see what you'd do. Arya felt her stomach drop. I expected you to hide it. Expected you to pay her off or run away. That's what most people would have done. Victoria's expression softened slightly. But you stood up here and told the truth, knowing it would cost you everything. That takes courage. She turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I owe my future daughter-in-law an apology. I tested her, tried to break her, tried to prove she wasn't worthy of my son, but she just proved she's more worthy than I gave her credit for. Victoria faced Arya directly. You're right. You don't belong in this world. You're too honest. Too real. Too willing to sacrifice your own comfort for others. This world chews up people like you and spits them out. She paused. But maybe that's exactly what this world needs. Maybe what the Sterling family needs is someone who remembers what it's like to have nothing. Someone who knows the value of sacrifice. Victoria extended her hand. I accept this marriage. I release Silas's trust fund, and I'll personally cover your niece's surgery. All of it. Because despite my better judgment, you've earned my respect. Arya stared at the offered hand, hardly daring to believe what she was hearing. Why? Her voice was barely a whisper. Why now? Victoria's smile was thin but genuine. Because you didn't beg, didn't grovel, didn't try to buy my approval. You told the truth and accepted the consequences. That's more integrity than most people in this room have shown in their entire lives. She kept her hand extended,